Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time I'm playing in my first ever tier 10 tank. It is the one, it's the only, it's the E100, and the reason why I'm playing this vehicle a little bit more recently is because I started platooning with my brother, who you'll be seeing as Zaonce, again, and he doesn't have any of these newfangled tanks, and so he keeps picking these old school beasts, and I have to match up with him when we're playing in a platoon together. Now, today's video is going to be about creating a plan when you're in a team, and obviously the best place to create a plan is in those first 30 seconds where none of the tanks are moving and you've got that full time to be able to plan. And of course, in a matchup like this, when there are only 3 tier 10 tanks and you're matched up against 2 IS-7s are in a platoon, it's all about thinking about where those tier 10 Soviet heavy tanks are going to go. Because frankly, if we allow those IS-7s to go and crunch through our tier 8 tanks, they're going to take no damage, they're going to massacre the Panteras, they're going to massacre the S1, the T28, the IS-3, the T34, and they're also going to give our tier 9s a hell of a time if they get to work together. So, one thing that I would love to do if I was in an E100 on the Live Oaks map is, of course, make your way into the town. If you make your way into the town, you're safe from the artillery and you get to side scrape across all of those buildings and slowly push your way towards your opponents. But of course, I had to make a decision at the start of this battle. Do we think that the IS-7s are going to go into town, or do we think the IS-7s are going to go towards the southeast? And I thought they're going to go southeast, because if they do that, then they're going to get to avoid the E100s, and then they're going to get to feast on the tier 8s, and then they'll get to flank around and push the base, and the E100s have been so slow to make their way up there where it's going to be a little bit tricky for the E100s to push in, right? Luckily, it looks like my instincts were right, and the IS-7s are pushing across the southeast. Now, if we'd left them alone with these tier 8s, immediately we can see that one of the most experienced tier 8s in his Pantera has been shut down very, very quickly. And so this is perfect for us. What we're going to be able to do is get forwards as quickly as possible and support our tier 8s against the tier 10s. And hopefully the tier 8s are going to help support us against the tier 10s as well, right? Now, of course, if we'd gone into the town, it was kind of just a risky play, because if we'd met the IS-7s, if our tier 8s hadn't managed to win the southern flank, it's very unlikely that we're going to be able to get through there. And then it would have become 2 E100s having killed the IS-7s, if we managed to do so, come back towards our cap circle to protect against the flank that's going through the other side. Now, I don't want us to hang around at the back. I feel like if we hang around at the back right now, that we're just going to turn this into an ugly shooting fight. And what happens when IS-7s and WZ-121s get to shoot at an E100 turret at long range? Well, generally, the E100 isn't going to do very well. Now, usually it's the IS-7 that you would want to take into a knife fight, but in this scenario, I think that the E100s are going to do way better at short range, especially if we can get into this dip and secure this ridge line to hopefully be able to shoot up into the E100's lower plates. Well, that's the plan at least. But let me finish my previous thought as we just turn around and watch this double tap. Bang, bang. Oh, that's what the E100s can do there. A bit of brotherly love there for the enemy T-54. That's 2 150mm shells entering his tank. It doesn't matter what tier you are, that is going to pretty much spell the end of the game for you. But what I was trying to highlight is that if we went into town, it was kind of just a lose-lose, whereas if we go towards the south, I guess we could just get slowed down and nobody gets invested from the enemy team on the southeast flank, and then our team just push on faster than we're able to, and then we get left around. But we could always pull back, right? Because this cap circle is very open and easy to defend, and so I think that's what the best thing is to do on this map, is to try and push one of the flanks, and then to either fall back towards your own cap circle, or if you see the other flank is being held up, then continue to push around and create a pincer. Now, Z at the time showed me something very important to do here. Of course, I love to push the corner that you see on the left. Oh, thank you, Wargaming's Ridgeline, for saving that IS-7 there. Now, one of my favorite positions to use is where this Object 430 is, because if you make your way up here, then you can shoot down at these players here, and also you can kind of keep your half of your frontal turret towards your opponents here, so it's unlikely they're going to be able to go through you. However, I thought, considering there's no artillery in that position where the 430 is usually one that I use to avoid artillery, why don't we just skulk around back here? And we can use the, I believe, 7 degrees of gun depression that the E100 has to really start to put the pain on these IS-7s. Now we put 1 round into the IS-7, we're going to finish him off there with a heat round. God, those 330mm heat rounds. And then Z is going to take down the WZ-121, who managed to put a heat round into us earlier as well. So we bounce a T10. Surprise, surprise, a 5% of ammunition used there going towards our vehicle, and we're going to return the favor against this IS-7 and put one right through the front of his tank. And we're just completely turning the favor, well, we're completely turning the way that this map is going to progress just by the fact that our presence here. And we're stopping these IS-7s from working our friends, and there's a bit of a stalemate up towards the northwest. But right now, if we can hopefully put one into the side of the IS-7, I'm thinking who I'd want to finish off here. And I tell Z I'm going to finish off the Emil because I didn't want him to keep shooting Z in the lower plate, or alternatively, just double track Z up on the ridgeline there. Z puts one into the front of the IS-7. I'm trying to get forwards to block a shell. I turn my turret to the side here to create a 45-degree angle. And as you can see, the IS-7 not interested in shooting the angled frontal turret, and the T-10 to my south, I believe, finishes him off. And right now, this is a bit of just a cleanup right now, and Z gets another kill, picking up his third of the battle. I pick one up as well, where that means we've got 3 kills apiece. I raised the gun on the front of the vehicle to get a bit of a celebration there, because I knew that we were picking up not a Radley Walters medal, nearly said that, a Brothers in Arms medal, and we don't quite manage to pick up a kill on the Pantera, but Z finishes off the Object 268. But the key thing that I want all of you to get from this video is that sometimes it's not just best to take your heavy tanks towards the stereotypical heavy location. You've got to think about how you can support your allies, and especially with Wargaming's ridiculous 357 template system, if your platoon manages to become top tier, you have to outplay the enemy team if you want to win the battle. Or shall I say, the enemy platoon specifically. Alright, so this time it's going to be a similar situation. We're in a platoon and we're in a 357 game, so there's only 3 top tier tanks on either side. We're having to assault on Siegfried Line, and we're both playing in T-62As. Now, how are we going to dig out the enemy medium tank platoon? There's a K-91 and an Object 140, and those are our competition in this game. Now, whenever I play a Soviet medium tank, especially something like a K-91 or an Object 140, I want to make my way to either the north or the south, specifically the south. There's an absolute fantastic location that you can use all the way around here, which allows you to then create a crossfire when you're defending against your opponents. Once you manage to get here in an Object 140, you're pretty much safe. You can use these ridge lines to get some shells on anyone who skulks their way along here, or alternatively, just pop out and spot. Sometimes you can even get view range up here, view range along here, which will allow your players in the town to be able to shoot across. And so my plan with Z is, firstly, let's see if they're going to defend the south, because if they don't defend the south, we are going to rush straight towards the southeast corner of this map and be able to lock down that flank. And there you go, bam, Object 140 making his way towards the south. So I'm going to pop back a little bit and instead going to focus down this lurver and see if we can just get some easy soft shots, because I know that there's no way in hell that I'm going to push towards that Object 140, because if I do so, it's quite likely that his K91 is sitting around this location on the map that you see me drawing on around here, and he'll be able to just get shots all the way across here, and then we're going to be probably dead before we even manage to take the southeast corner. But if we do manage to take it, we'll be so wounded that we might no longer be able to handle all of the mid-tier heavies or even the Super Conqueror on the enemy team. And so, what you see me doing here is communicating with Z. We're on TeamSpeak at the time, actually Discord now, and saying, let's go to the northern flank, because surely the northern flank is going to be open. But you'll also see that I'm communicating with my team, telling them to fall back, specifically the artillery. And to be fair, the artillery does fall back, so good communication there, and good awareness by the artillery to fall back. And I'm alerting to my team that the new plan is to make our way in via the north corridor. I'm trying to get as many people to follow us as possible. You see that I highlight the tanks and I press my T key, which is either you assist, you're calling in for assistance fire on the enemy, or alternatively, if you put it over an ally, you're saying, hey, follow me, let's go and work together. And so that's exactly what we're going to do here. Unfortunately, the Scorpion Gs on our team don't seem to be wanting to work together as a team. They want to go towards the south and deal with the Object 140. And unfortunately for us, it looks like we've left our heavy alone long enough that he's now fallen to a tier 8 French auto-loading premium medium tank. Nevertheless, me and Z have got one goal. Now we know where most of the enemy team is, it's to crush our way through. And here we go. I call out to Z, let's focus the E75 down first, and we're going to put rounds in as we move. And I'm telling him we're going to take some fire here. We don't have the best hull armor in our T-62As, but we have to get into the dip, and so that's exactly what we're doing here. I stop on the move to shoot at this artillery, and then I probably should have finished off that E-75 there, so bad play by me, but luckily I'm going to make up for it as I finish him off. Now I tell Z to get behind me, I believe, at this moment, or I'm going to drive in front of him. At least that's what I would do in retrospect. Come on, I've got to look after my brother, right? There you go. I'm looking after my brother, making sure the T-54 isn't going to shoot him. But unfortunately, I don't think I do a very good job, because the Scorpion now manages to get him from behind. And did the T-54 shoot him in front? Oh, I guess I'm not the best brother after all. At least I tried. I was thinking about protecting him from a Tier 8 medium tank, but it looks like the Tier 8 TD managed to get up behind. But nevertheless, did you see the rampage that our T-62As just managed to go on there? We've cut our way through a flank, and we've given our team a door towards the enemy base, and hopefully, well, the enemy base, the only base on this map, and hopefully being able to secure it from here. Alright, so now that we've got our Lorraine in the corner as well, we get to put pressure on the artillery. Talking about Lorraines, we're going to be able to get that one that took out our IS-7 earlier on, want to deal with him. Now the T-62A doesn't have the best gun depression, only 5 degrees, so you see it's quite tricky for me to be able to work this ridgeline here. But the job is as good as done, as we shut down 2 very high tier self-propelled guns on the enemy team. Well, a tier 8 and a tier 9, is that very high for a tier 10 matchup? I don't know. But still, important vehicles. If we were to allow them to stay moving throughout the whole battle, then it might be tricky for us. Anyway, Scorpion G left on 3 hit points due to 2 low rolls in a row, but the Lorraine 40T finishes him off. And that Lorraine is going on a rampage. And thank goodness that Lorraine decided to follow us on this flank, providing some much needed fire support, picking up 3 kills for a tier 8 tank in a tier 10 game. That's what I'm talking about with regards to playing your tier 8s as a supporting role for the tier 10s. And from here on, I think you're going to see this is going to be a pretty sweet cleanup, but not quite before we just get an absolute clinical takedown on a tortoise here. First time we take off his tracks, second time we lock him in place. And from here on, I'm just taking a look behind me to make sure I'm not going to be flanked, constantly looking behind for this Object 140 who I think is wanting to come and assist the tortoise. Micromanaging our vision while also locking down this tier 9 British tank destroyer. And unlike any of you saw the video that I featured on the channel maybe I think about a month ago, where I was talking about using 2 repair kits. I believe the video is called Trick Me Once, Shame on You, or I think I shortened it down to just Shame on You or Shame on Me at the time. But that's a perfect example of where a double repair kit can be very useful in your tortoise. All we needed to do was just to lock his tracks down once. It doesn't matter how well he plays, we're going to shut him down. So 5th kill there on the Samoa SM, and Z is in a mortal combat here with the K91. So I'm going to get round the corner as quickly as I can, but I'm unable to save my bro. Nevertheless, this Lorraine is going to have a blooming good time as he proceeds to put another round in there and pick up his 5th kill. Great result there for the autoloading French tank in that tier 10 game. And this battle again was clearly won just because we had a much higher impact than the enemy's tier 10 mediums. We knew where they were going and then we adapted. We didn't just sit on a flank and complain. Even when you have to attack the enemy in an assault, we managed to stay hidden, made our way towards the north, created a breakthrough for our team to then flank them. And even though their tier 10 medium tanks saw what was happening and decided to fall back, it was too little too late. They couldn't lock us down and we just clinically took out the enemy team. So the first round in the E100 was a brothers in arms, and my brother managed to do way more damage than I did in this battle. So hats off to Z, who seems to be managing to scrape off that tank rust very quickly indeed in only his 2nd week playing World of Tanks again. However, on Siegfried Line, I guess I got a little lucky. We get a Confederate medal, we get a high caliber medal for absolutely ripping through the enemy team and managing a very tasty profit as well. But that's because we were using some of these credit boosters, which Wargaming seem to just be throwing out willy-nilly these days. Anyway, that's it for today, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this video and the return of teamwork to this channel. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, make sure you give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, it's a bit interesting because there's actually been a draw, ladies and gentlemen. 31 of you voted for the mouse and 31 of you voted for the E50M. So I thought I might as well just flip a coin, right? Okay, so I guess we're going to have the Queen as an E50M and we're going to have Tails as a mouse. Does that sound right? Would the Queen drive an E50M? Probably. Okay, what is it going to be? Hold on, I want you to find out first. What's it going to be? Well, I can see the tail. So I know it's the E50M that is going to be the Tech Tree Showcase right now. So come along as I make my way up towards what I'm famous for once calling a very weak tank. We'll have to see if I'm going to be the weak player and unable to play the E50 today. Anyway, going to showcase the entirety of the tech tree so you can see if it's a line that's worth grinding, or alternatively, if you already have the tanks, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.